One person stood out in Jake's life: his father. Since Jake was young, his father was always a hero. This is why things turned for the worse for him when his dad seriously got ill. Just when things started looking up for Jake, he now faced the threat of losing his father to cancer. His father transferred all his estate to him. Instead of running his father's enterprises, he left the businesses in the hands of a trust and wanted nothing to do with them. It was unbearable for him to walk in his father's buildings. Jake always saw his father as a hero. It devastated him to think that his father was no longer able to get up and go to work like he used to. Jake felt like the world did an injustice to his family. One can only imagine how painful this was for him. He struggled to cope with the situation. As a result, he resorted to his old habits. That's right, Jake went back to overspending as a coping mechanism. However, he took it up a notch this time around. Worst of all, he didn't even visit his father. As long as he was in the hands of nurses, Jake was okay with that. He felt like he could not bear to see his father dying. As Jake's business began to flourish, he started living an extravagant lifestyle, spending money on expensive things that he had never been able to afford before. He rented a luxurious penthouse in the city, hosted expensive parties, and started eating out in fancy restaurants every night. People were growing suspicious of his behavior. They began thinking that he must have poisoned his father and made him ill in order to gain all his fortune. These news made Jake take a hard look at what he was doing. This made him realize that his coping mechanisms were landing him in unnecessary turmoil. Not only this, but Jake soon realized that he had overextended himself financially. He had been so caught up in the carefree lifestyle and the success of his business that he had neglected his personal finances. What was the least wise thing that he did is that he stopped marketing his business. This made his business to grind to a halt. One day, he received a notice from his landlord that he was being evicted from his penthouse for failure to pay rent. Jake was devastated. He had put everything into his business and now he was going to lose everything. He tried to come up with a solution but could not think of anything. The distress clouded his mind. He even considered going back to those empty boxes to make easy money, but he knew that that was not the right thing to do. He was at the end of his rope. As he was walking through the city, feeling defeated, he ran into an old friend from college. Her name was Tanya. She could see that he was in distress and asked what was wrong. Jake reluctantly shared his situation with her. Before he could talk, lots of tears came out of his eyes. He sobbed for the first time. All the emotions were finally coming out. It was strange because he cried out on the streets. Quickly, she asked him to go sit in a booth at a restaurant in order to get away from the prying eyes. "Oh, Tanya, I am losing my father, and I can't cope with it. I was about to make my father very proud of me. He was starting to really like my new approach to the way of doing things. I was showing him my true potential. He was just about to enjoy the fruits of his son's labor, and he was going to be a grandfather to my kids someday. He is too young to die, and he is all I have in this world. I didn't even know my mother because she died when I was young. Now if he goes, I will have nobody." Tanya gave him a shoulder to cry on. She assured him that he's not alone. She is going to be there for him and his father. On the other hand, I've worked so hard to build my business, but I've neglected my personal finances, and now I'm being evicted from my home, he said. His friend listened patiently and then said, "Jake, you're a smart and resourceful person. You can figure this out. Just take a step back and look at the situation from a different angle." Jake thought about what his friend had said and realized that she was right. He had always been resourceful, and he had a talent for sales and marketing. He just needed to figure out how to apply those skills to his personal finances. But before I do anything, I need to go see my father. Tanya, would you be so kind as to accompany me back home for this? Of course, I will, she responded eagerly. You need not even ask. This gave Jake the courage and empathy to visit his father. When he got there, his father was not around. Only the nurse was there. Your father has been admitted for chemotherapy. He left a letter for you in case you showed up. It was difficult for him to open the letter. He was afraid that his father was saying goodbye. His whole body shook from anxiety and panic. Nevertheless, Tanya helped him calm down and read the letter. Perhaps there are good news, she said. Reluctantly, he slowly and fearfully opened the envelope. Yet he had a panic attack again and quickly closed the letter. He instead insisted to hear the news directly from his father. At the hospital, his father refused to talk and insisted that Jake reads the letter. After seeing his father, Jake remembered his dad's advice to find a way to turn his talent into something profitable. You know what? I'm going to apply marketing skills to find a new source of income, he said. Jake started by selling some of his expensive belongings and downsizing his lifestyle. He rented a small apartment in a more affordable part of town and started cooking at home instead of eating out. He also started a side hustle by offering marketing consulting services to local businesses. With his experience in viral marketing, he was able to help businesses increase their online presence and attract new customers. Before he knew it, he had built up a successful consulting business that brought in a steady stream of income. He was able to pay off his debts and even started saving money for the future. Jake realized that he didn't need to live an extravagant lifestyle to be happy. He was grateful for the experience because it taught him the value of money and how to be responsible with his finances. Looking back, he saw how his father's advice had played a crucial role in his success. He was grateful for his father's guidance and knew that he would not be where he is today without it. While reflecting, he got a call from his father. The call had really good news. The chemo went well and his father got a second chance at life. Jake got excited and thanked God. Finally, he felt that he can peacefully open the letter. In the letter, Jake was surprised to learn how his father really felt about him. In the letter, his father wrote, Jake, my son, there is nothing in this world I am proud to have accomplished more than being your father. I know you grew up wanting to make your father proud, but I have been proud of you since the day you grabbed my finger with your tiny little hands. I have been proud of you since the day you were born. You cried so much as a baby, but always had a sense of calm when I comforted you. I've been proud of you ever since. There is no money in this world you can earn that will make me more proud than I already am. Your love to learn and grow has always inspired me. It's been my source of strength as well. That's right, son. You've been my inspiration. Jake learned another lesson from his father. He learned that where he thought he needed to do much to make his father proud, he realized that he was so wrong. Tears of both joy and pain came out, and he felt free from a sense of loss and knew that his father was always going to be with him. The letter went on and on. As he read, Tanya was in the room sitting by his side. He knew he was never going to be alone again. Tanya was now his best friend in the world. She stood by him through it all. As Jake walked through the city with a smile on his face, he realized that he had overcome his financial challenges and was stronger because of them.